Arrow 508, the mind-body connection through the lifespan. So today is July 1st, 2019. And yesterday was my birthday. 63 years old. How come I feel like I'm 103? I don't know, man. It's been one of those years, believe me. Anyways, so we are going to go ahead and launch into this week's assignments. Do recognize, okay, that today is also the due date for your first writing assignment. It's all laid out. If you click on this, okay, what it's going to do is it's going to take you to this assignment, and again, read through it. It would be great if you can, use the kind of outcomes, the dependent variable, like looking at stress, variables of stress, heart rate, cortisol levels, and what your manipulation would do. But that's okay. We just want you to do what comes naturally to yourself in terms of what you're doing, and that's, if you read through this, it talks about it, and to write it up like you would a journal paper. Okay. All right. And only 6 pages long. Just please follow the directions, and it's all good. All right. All right. So that's what that's all about. So we're going to get in now for this first reading assignment and quiz, okay? So we scroll down, okay, so this was last week, June 21st, and here we are at July 1st, okay? So in this particular week, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about stress, but we're going to hone in a little bit on diabetes, all right? Stress-related diabetes, all right, and you guys are starting to think just like me, which is awesome, okay? And when you get down to doing the quiz, okay, down here, at the very bottom, I actually had a chance to talk directly with one of your classmates, and that's Erica. And she sent me an email and sent me her phone number, and I called her and we talked about things. And one of the things was, best approach to doing well in terms of quizzes and the purpose of the quizzes. And again, the idea of the quizzes is that it encourages you to actually participate in the curriculum. Okay, it compels you to watch the videos right here. To do the readings right here, okay? So she asked me about some of the limitations that might be on the quizzes, and I'm gonna go ahead and click on the quiz right here. And when you hit begin, okay, and the quiz comes up, and what I told Erica is the most important thing is you can have this right here, okay? So this is the quiz, it's open. And then what I think the best thing you can do is just go like this, and open your browser again. So I'm going to get right back into the course. Okay, so here it is right here, the quiz, and then I can go right back into, obviously I teach a lot of courses, but if this was yours, you might have a couple courses. There we are, the mind-body connection. All right, so now it's open. Okay, so and then I can go back down in here, and I can go into the readings, which is right there. Okay, and I can find this week's readings and video, which was here July 1st. Okay. And so what I can then do is I can go ahead and review the material and then go back over here and save the answer. So for example, as the Jackson has found the following to be true among African Americans with perceived high global stress, okay? They had low diabetes, they had obesity, they had low cortisol. Does that make any sense, okay? Is that all the above, okay? So not based on what we're talking about, so this can't be right. Low cortisol, that is the stress-mediating hormone. So yes, they had obesity. And I would hit save answer, and there it is. Now that's saved. Okay. Now maybe I didn't know that, so I can go in here and read and go back and forth, find another one. It's just save your answers. And if this takes you 4 hours, that's okay. It will keep saving your answer. Okay. And then when you're all done and you feel very confident, then you hit submit, okay? You can just hit save the answers. It's not going to get submitted until you hit submit, okay? So that's the key on that. All right, so we come back over here. So here is, again, this week's lecture. With these videos, the intention is for you to just kick back, no stress express, and watch the videos and just try and absorb and learn, okay? They are put together, so that people that are not biologists or medical doctors can watch this and fully understand this. This is a lot of the things that happen with stress, okay? This goes through each of your systems and then how different types of interventions can be used, okay? And then this video right here talks about the link between stress and diabetes, all right? So I'll just kick back, watch those videos. Before you start, okay, read each question that is in your quiz. So you can just read it, okay? Which of the following constitutes a stress that changes diurnal cortisol, okay? All right, you look through that. Okay, I don't know yet, so I'm not going to answer that question. Inflammation is viewed as a factor contributing to atherosclerosis, diabetes, metabolic syndrome. If that sounds right, then you can go like this, and then you can hit save answer, okay? All right. It doesn't mean that you can't go back and change it, all right? There it is, save answer. I haven't submitted, so I can change my mind, all right? All right, save answer. So don't forget that. Awesome. Okay, so we're going to get in here. So watch those videos, okay? And then we can talk about the specifics here. And the point of this exercise, guys, is I want you to believe in yourselves that you can go into a medical journal article, okay? So you do a Google search because you just found out that you've been diagnosed with diabetes, or you just found out you've been diagnosed with hypertension, or maybe you just found out you've been diagnosed with leukemia, okay, like Julia. And you can go in and educate yourself. You should have the confidence to do that, and that's what this is all about. Okay, so I click on that, and here we talk about the bi-directional link between stress, depression, and type 2 diabetes. So last week, we were talking about clinical depression, okay, and how it's linked to stress. So I think this, I'm going to open this up a little bit bigger so I can read it with my bad old man eyes, 63-year-old eyes, right? And you just kind of start with just the abstract. The abstract is the review, okay? So they talk about controversy in terms of the role of stress and depression, okay? So the link between stress and depression, and whether or not that is linked to the pathophysiology of type 2 diabetes, which is adult onset diabetes, okay? So we see right here again that clinical depression, okay, increases the risk for progressive insulin resistance, which is the primary cause for type 2 diabetes mellitus, okay? All right. Whereas the association between stress, so we can connect stress to depression, but not stress to diabetes, okay? All right, and they just said, like, it's this, again, it's study designs, all right? So as they go through here, then they start talking about some of the anatomy, all right? So we know that we perceive stress, okay? We have our anger, rage, fear center. Boom, it starts firing, and then it connects to the hypothalamus. Remember from the chart that I sent you. Hypothalamus causes a release of a hormone that causes another hormone released in the pituitary, all right? The pituitary then releases a adrenocorticotropin hormone that goes down to the adrenal cortex and causes the release of cortisol, okay? We also are going to learn all about the autonomic nervous system, okay? And then you've heard of the adrenaline rush, so that's the other fast part. This autonomic nervous system and cortisol have been shown to affect our immune system, all different aspects of the immune system, all right? So, and in the short term, it helps you in terms of activating the immune system and stimulating wound repair, but when you're acutely activating the system, it becomes resistant. You have chronic inflammation, and that inflammation causes lots and lots of problems in terms of your health. And inflammation unto itself is a stressor. So you see this becomes very, very circular, okay? All righty. So what kind of studies did they look at? Okay, so here's clinical depression, okay? They look at both cross-sectional studies, okay? This is where at one point in time, I look at 100 people from the city of LA. I look at another 100 people from the city of San Francisco. That's 2 cross sections of those cities, versus taking 100 people and following them over a long period of time. That's longitudinal, all right? All righty. We see changes in our awakening response, okay? We see changes in the cortisol curve. Oops, sorry, that's what that's all about. So this is just a discussion of the mechanisms, okay? All right, so then you get in here, and this, again, reviews. We've done this a couple times, reviews our stress response, okay? So we know now, okay, we've heard about the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, the HPA axis, that is activated in stress, okay? So somebody comes up behind you and sticks a knife in your back, okay? You perceive that, and then you activate this system, okay? And then the autonomic nervous system, okay? This is this automatic system of fight or flight or rest and digest, right? They have completely opposite effects, right? They discuss lots of different things here. So I'm not going to read the whole paper. Allostatic load just means the amount of disease, physiological stress that you have, okay? All right. This goes over the circuitry that we've talked about, okay? Here it is again, okay? So we see chronic psychological stress, okay? So start right here, the hypothalamic pituitary axis. You perceive the stress, okay? I'm just worried. I'm worried all the time. I'm worried. It's kind of like what I do, all right? As a result, I hypersecrete this, okay? That can increase your internal abdominal fat, okay? Because stress is all about mobilizing fuel. The fuel's not used, it gets turned into fat, okay? Increases your tummy fat specifically right here, okay? Because I'm stressed out, I have abnormal release of epinephrine and norepinephrine, also called adrenaline or noradrenaline. Just depends if you're from Great Britain or from the United States. Same stuff, okay? That increases my blood pressure, gives me hypertension, okay? It also negatively impacts my immune system over the long term, okay? It also contributes to insulin resistance, which is diabetes. You then would see this increase in your HbA1c, which is a readout of how high your blood sugar is because the insulin's not working. High levels of triglycerides because of tummy fat, and low levels of high density lipoprotein, and this is a risk factor for cardiovascular disease, okay? All righty, we come over here and we see this interaction with this, okay? We see this inflammatory response, right? That these two can contribute to. There should be arrows going across here that also contribute to this and this and this, all right? All right, so just take a break. Don't get hung up on the vocabulary. Just trying to enjoy the ride, okay? All right, so this goes through all the different studies. It's just looking at your daily or diurnal cycling of cortisol and how that can change with somebody that's clinically depressed, okay? All right. All right, so that's it. So just go ahead and look through this. Okay, this is how the study was run. Don't get caught up on it, okay, in terms of the details. And these are all the different systems that are impacted, okay? Fairly complicated. Just do the best you can in working through that. All right, so that's the first article, right? Then the second article, again, I just want you to relax. No stress expressed. I'm going to click right here. Okay. And we're going to look at this one, okay? Stress induces a disturbance of this hypothalamic pituitary axis, okay? So we talked about the long-term effect, and there's compelling evidence suggesting a progressive dysfunction of the HPA axis, okay? And this is with, when you see this dysfunction, you see this elevated levels, chronically elevated levels of cortisol. Okay? And that's implicated in development of obesity. Obesity leads to diabetes. Okay, so the whole point of this is just for you to be connecting the dots. Okay, all right, it's the same drill here. Just kind of again, read it as best you can. You're not expected to understand any of these details in this. Okay, all right. This talks about the nature of the disturbed hypothalamic pituitary axis from chronic stress. Okay, all righty, and it goes through exactly what's going on, the different stages. Okay, Again, the focus here is on cortisol and how it can be really, really bad for you, okay? All right, we look at the concept of psychological stress, okay? And it suppresses your reproductive behavior, okay? Increases depression, okay? Social stress is associated with visceral obesity, insulin resistance, dyslipidemia, okay? So when you go to the doctor and they do your annual exam of your lipid profiles, you know, they're gonna see that. Hypertension, okay? So every year I go for a physical. They take my blood pressure and they look at my HDL, my ADL, LDL, total cholesterol, stuff like that, okay? This is the obesity, okay? It's all part of metabolic disturbances associated with psychological stress and socioeconomic subordination. So we saw that in the Sapolsky video at the very beginning of this class, and you see this reiterated over and over and over again, okay? You know, so it's really something to think about in terms of human behavior for sure, okay? These are the pathological consequences, okay? So we start to look at things like free fatty acids, okay, which are really detrimental to the body. They cause insulin resistance, okay? And we looked in here at what happens when you have genetically predisposed with this bad situation, okay? High stress environment, lots of cortisol, it causes abnormal production of glucose, less packaging of glucose by muscles, so it stays high in your blood, increased fats, and then the pancreas begins to fail. And you have less insulin, which begets more glucose, more fats, and you see the problem, okay? All right, that's what that paper is all about, all right? Yeah, so that's what I want you to do is just go through those and take it one step at a time and don't get caught up in the details, okay? All right, so once you get done with that, and now you're educated, okay? If you feel like you've done everything you want to do, okay, you can go ahead and save and submit. In the end, if you don't get these right, these quizzes are not worth a whole lot of points, okay? It's just a way to get you engaged, okay? Then what do you got to do? You got to come over here after you submit your quiz, okay? And you're going to go into the discussion board, okay? And the discussion board is compelled. Oops, sorry, I clicked on the wrong thing. Here it is, discussion board, okay? And so we're going to get down there, okay? And we're going to look at the latest discussion. This is my view, all right? And the new discussion is going to be released tonight, okay? And we're going to talk about diabetes right here, all right? Stress and age-related, so the exact topic that we were talking about, okay? Here's the prompt, okay? Epigenetics and stress, talk about it. All the articles in the assignment discuss changes in receptor expression. Think about the importance of this and talk about it. And then it talks about this right here. I want you to look at this figure. Why did the changes happen in terms of these glucocorticoid receptor expression, right? The receptors change. Remember, think epigenetics, all right? All right, so this is, again, goes in deep into the DNA and changes the receptors, all right? So I just want you to think about this, okay? We talk about here about the amygdala going too crazy, the amygdala hijack, okay? Now think about cortisol. Why is there such a change in our morning cortisol awakening response? Why is there a flattening of this diurnal cortisol curve, okay? Okay, remember, if you have chronically high cortisol, it does feed back and inhibit things a little bit. That's just a little hint, okay? All right, awesome. And then we get into this cortisol and stress, talk depression, whatever you want to do, insulin resistance, okay, diabetes, obesity, heart disease. We call this the metabolic syndrome, okay? Talk about being low in the socioeconomic status, okay? All righty. So